The automotive industry in India is one of the largest in the world, with an annual production of 23.37 million vehicles in FY 2014-15, following a growth of 8.68% over the last year. The automobile industry accounts for 7.1% of the country's gross domestic product. The two-wheeler segment, with 81% market share, is the leader of the Indian automobile market, owing to a growing middle class and a young population. Moreover, the growing interest of companies in exploring the rural markets further aided the growth of the sector. The overall passenger vehicle segment has 13% market share. India is also a prominent auto exporter and has strong export growth expectations for the near future. In FY 2014-15, automobile exports grew by 15% over the last year. In addition, several initiatives by the Government of India and the major automobile players in the Indian market are expected to make India a leader in the two-wheeler and four-wheeler market in the world by 2020. Market size. The industry produced a total 14.25 million vehicles, including PVs, commercial vehicles, three-wheelers and 2W in April to October 2015, as against 13.83 in April to October 2014, registering a marginal growth of 3.07% year-to-year. The sales of PVs grew by 8.51% in April to October 2015 over the same period in the previous year. The overall CVs segment registered a growth of 8.02% in April to October 2015 as compared to same period last year. Medium and heavy commercial vehicles registered very strong growth of 32.3%, while sales of light commercial vehicles declined by 5.24% during April to October 2015. Year-to-year. In April to October 2015, overall automobile exports grew by 5.78%. PVs, CVs, 3Ws and 2Ws registered growth of 6.34%, 17.95%, 18.59% and 3.22%, respectively. In April to October 2015 over April to October 2014. Investments. In order to keep up with the growing demand, several automakers have started investing heavily in various segments of the industry during the last few months. The industry has attracted foreign direct investment worth $13.48 billion during the period April 2000 to June 2015, according to data released by Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion. Some of the major investments and developments in the automobile sector in India are as follows. Global automaker Ford plans to manufacture in India 2 families of engines by 2017, a 2.2-litre diesel engine code-named Panther, and a 1.2-litre petrol engine code-named Dragon, which are expected to power 270,000 Ford vehicles globally. The world's largest airbag suppliers Automotive Inc., Tata Corp., TRW Automotive Inc. and Toyota Gosco are setting up plants and increasing capacity in India. General Motors plans to invest $1 billion in India by 2020, mainly to increase the capacity at the Talegaon plant in Maharashtra from 130,000 units a year to 220,000 by 2025. US-based carmaker Chrysler has planned to invest 3,500 crore rupees in Maharashtra to manufacture Jeep Cherokee model. Mercedes-Benz has decided to manufacture the GLA entry SUV in India. The company has doubled its India assembly capacity to 20,000 units per annum. Germany-based luxury car maker Ashik Motors and Worker AG's local unit has announced to procure components from 7 India-based auto parts makers. Mahindra Two-Wheelers Limited acquired 51% shares in France-based Peugeot Motorcycles. Government initiatives. The Government of India encourages foreign investment in the automobile sector and allows 100% FDI under the automatic route. Some of the major initiatives taken by the Government of India are: the Government of India aims to make automobile manufacturing the main driver of Make in India initiative, as it expects the passenger vehicles market to triple to 9.4 million units by 2026, as highlighted in the Auto Mission Plan 2016-26. In the Union Budget of 2015-16, the government has announced plans to provide credit of 850,000 crore rupees to farmers, which is expected to boost sales in the tractors segment. The government plans to promote eco-friendly cars in the country, i.e., CNG-based vehicles, hybrid vehicles, and electric vehicles, and also to make mandatory 5% ethanol blending in petrol. The government has formulated a scheme for faster adoption and manufacturing of electric and hybrid vehicles in India, under the National Electric Mobility Mission 2020, to encourage the progressive introduction of reliable, affordable, and efficient electric and hybrid vehicles into the country. The Automobile Mission Plan for the period 2006 to 2016, designed by the government, is aimed at accelerating and sustaining growth in this sector. Also, the well-established regulatory framework under the Ministry of Shipping, Road Transport and Highways plays a part in providing a boost to this sector. History. In 1897, the first car ran on an Indian road. Through the 1930s, cars were imports only, and in small numbers. An embryonic automotive industry emerged in India in the 1940s. Hindustan Motors was launched in 1942, long-time competitor Premier in 1944, building Chrysler, Dodge, and Fiat products respectively. Mahindra and AMP Mahindra was established by two brothers in 1945, and began assembly of Jeep CJ3 utility vehicles. Following independence in 1947, the Government of India and the private sector launched efforts to create an automotive component in manufacturing industry to supply to the automobile industry. In 1953, an import substitution program was launched, and the import of fully built-up cars began to be restricted. 1947 to 1970, the 1952 Tariff Commission. In 1952, the government appointed the first Tariff Commission, and one of the purpose was to come out with the feasible plan for indigenization of the Indian automobile industry. This was to keep a check on overproduction of vehicles that would strain the investments as well as price control. In 1953, the Commission submitted the report which recommended categorizing the existing Indian companies according to the then infrastructure with license capacity to manufacture a certain number of vehicle with capacity increase allowable as per demands in future. The Traffic Commission recommendation were incorporated into the new policy, thus cleaning out manufacturers with only imports as well as the ones with no Indian partner. Following the Tariff Commission implementation in 1954, General Motors, Ford and Roots Group (TWHO) has assembly plants in Mumbai to India decided to move out of India. The Tariff Commission, along with similar restriction applied to other industries, can be known as the license raj, that later proved to be the greatest undoing for the Indian automotive industry, where bureaucratic red tape ended up making demand outstripping supply with month-long waiting period for cars. scooter and motorcycles. Passenger cars. Hindustan Motors, Calcutta, technical collaboration with Morris Motors to manufacture Morris Oxford models that would later become HM Ambassador. Premier Automobiles, Bombay, technical collaboration with Chrysler to manufacture Dodge, Plymouth and DeSoto models, and with Fiat to manufacture the 110D models, which would later with Premier Padmini range. Standard Motor Products of India, Madras, technical collaboration from Standard Triumph to manufacture Standard Vanguard, Standard 810 and later Standard Herald. Utility and light commercial vehicles. Mahindra and AMP Mahindra, Bombay, technical collaboration with Willys to manufacture CJ Series Jeep. Bajaj Tempo, Pune. Now Force Motors, technical collaboration with Tempo to manufacture Tempo Hansiat, a three-wheeler, and Tempo Viking and Hanamag, later known as Tempo Matador in India. Standard Motor Products of India, technical collaboration from Standard has license to manufacture the Standard Atlas passenger van with panel van, and 1-ton pickup variants. Medium and heavy commercial vehicles. Tata Motors, Pune, then known as Telco, technical collaboration with Mercedes-Benz to manufacture medium to heavy commercial vehicles, both bus and trucks. Ashik Motors, later Ashik Leyland, Madras, technical collaboration with Leyland Motors to manufacture medium to heavy commercial vehicles, both bus and trucks. Ashik Motors also discontinued its Austin venture formed in 1948 to sell Austin A40 and retooled the factory to make trucks than buses. Hindustan Motors, technical collaboration with General Motors to manufacture the Bedford range of medium lorry and bus chassis. Premier Automobiles, technical collaboration with Chrysler to manufacture the Dodge Fargo range of medium lorry, panel vans, minibus and bus chassis. Simpsons and Ampco, Madras, part of Amalgamations Group, technical collaboration with Ford to manufacture medium lorry and bus chassis, but did not utilize that option till 80s. Scooters, mopeds and motorcycles known as Bajaj Chetak, by Bajaj became the largest sold scooter in the world. Many of the two-wheelers manufacturers were granted licenses in early 60s well after the Tariff Commission was enabled. Royal Enfield, Madras, technical collaboration with Royal Enfield, UK to manufacture the Enfield Bullet range of motorcycles. Bajaj Auto, Pune, technical collaboration with Piaggio, Italy to manufacture the best-selling Vespa range of scooters and three-wheelers with commercial option as well. Automobile Products of India, Bombay, better known for API Lambretta, technical collaboration with Innocenti of Milan, Italy to manufacture the Lambretta range of mopeds, scooters, ADN three-wheelers. This company was actually the Roots Group car plant that was bought over by M.A. Chidambaram family. Mopeds India Limited, Tirupati, technical collaboration with Motobecane, France to manufacture the best-selling Mobiletta mopeds. Escorts Group, New Delhi, technical collaboration with CEKOP of Poland to manufacture the Rajdud 175 motorcycle whose origin was DKWRT 125. Ideal Jawa, Mysore, in technical collaboration with CZ Jawa of Czechoslovakia for its Jawa and Yezdi range of motorcycles. However, growth was relatively slow in the 1950s and 1960s, due to nationalization and the license Raj hampered the growth of Indian private sector. The beginning of the 1970s saw some growth potential and most of the collaboration license agreements agreements came to an end but with option to continue manufacturing with renewed branding. Cars were still meant for the elite and Jeeps were largely used by government organizations and some rural belts. In commercial vehicle segments, some developments were made by the end of the decade to cater improved goods movements. The two-wheeler segment remained unchanged except for to increase sales in urban among middle class. But more Philip was targeted towards farm tractors as India was embarking on a new green revolution. More Russian and Eastern Bloc imports were done to increase the demand. But after 1970, with restrictions on the import of vehicles set, the automotive industry started to grow, but the growth was mainly driven by tractors, commercial vehicles and scooters. Cars still remained a major luxury item. In the 1970s, price controls were finally lifted, inserting a competitive element into the automobile market. However, by the 1980s, the automobile market was still dominated by Hindustan and Premier, who sold superannuated products in fairly limited numbers. During the 80s, a few competitors began to arrive on the scene. The OPEC oil crisis saw increased need to installing or redesign some vehicle to fit diesel engines on medium commercial vehicle. Till early 70s, Mahindra Jeeps were on petrol and Premier commercial vehicles had petrol model options. The defense sector too had most trucks on petrol engines. 1984 to 1992, end of 70s and beginning of 80s saw no new models, but the country continued with two-decade-old designs, forcing government to encourage and let more manufacturers into fray. In 1986, to promote the auto industry, the government established the Delhi Auto Expo. The 1986 Expo was a showcase for how the Indian automotive industry was absorbing new technologies, promoting indigenous research and development, and adapting these technologies for the rugged conditions of India. The 9-day show was attended by then Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi. Post-1992 liberalization, eventually multinational automakers such as Suzuki and Toyota of Japan and Hyundai of South Korea were allowed to invest in the Indian market, furthering the establishment of an automotive industry in India. Maruti Suzuki was the first and the most successful of these new entries, and in part the result of government policies to promote the automotive industry beginning in the 1980s. As India began to liberalize its automobile market in 1991, a number of foreign firms also initiated joint ventures with existing Indian companies. The variety of options available to the consumer began to multiply in the 90s, whereas before there had usually only been one option in each price class. By 2000, there were 12 large automotive companies in the Indian market, most of them offshoots of global companies. Slow export growth. Exports were slow to grow. Sales of small numbers of vehicles to tertiary markets and neighboring countries began early, and in 1987 Maruti Suzuki shipped 480 cars to Europe. After some growth in the mid-90s, exports once again began to drop as the outmoded platforms provided to Indian manufacturers by multinationals were not competitive. This was not to last, and today India manufactures low-priced cars for markets across the globe. As of the 18th of March 2013, global brands such as Proton Holdings, PSA Group, Kia, Mazda, Chrysler, Dodge and Geely Holding Group were shelving plans for India due to the competitiveness of the market, as well as the global economic crisis. Emission norms. In 2000, in tune with international standards to reduce vehicular pollution, the central government unveiled standards titled India 2000, with later, upgraded guidelines to be known as Bharat stages. These standards are quite similar to the stringent European standards, and have been implemented in a phased manner, with the latest upgrade being implemented in 13 cities and, later, in the rest of the nation. Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Ahmedabad, Pune, Surat, Kanpur, Lucknow, Solapur, and Agra are the 13 cities where Bharat Stage 4 has been imposed, while the rest of the nation is still under Bharat Stage 3. Local manufacture encouraged. India levies an import tax of 125% on electric cars, while the import tax on components such as gearboxes, airbags, drive axles is 10%. Therefore, the taxes encourage cars to be assembled in India rather than be imported as completely built units. Manufacturing facilities. The majority of India's car manufacturing industry is evenly divided into 3 clusters. Around Chennai is the southernmost and largest, with a 35% revenue share, accounting for 60% of the country's automotive exports, and home of the India operations of Ford, Hyundai, Renault, Mitsubishi, Nissan, BMW, Hindustan Motors, Daimler Caparo, Mini, and Datsun. Near Mumbai, Maharashtra, along the Chakan corridor near Pune, is the Western cluster, with a 33% share of the market. Audi, Volkswagen, and Skoda are located in Aurangabad. Mahindra & Mahindra has an SUV and engine assembly plant at Nashik. General Motors, Tata Motors, Mercedes-Benz, Land Rover, Jaguar Cars, Fiat, and Force Motors have assembly plants in the area. The northern cluster is around the National Capital Region, and contributes 32%. Gurgaon and Manesar, in Haryana, are where the country's largest car manufacturer, Maruti Suzuki, is based. An emerging cluster is the state of Gujarat, with a manufacturing facility of General Motors in Hilol, and a facility for Tata Nano at the plant in Sanand. Ford, Maruti Suzuki, and Peugeot Citroën plants are also planned for Gujarat. Kolkata with Hindustan Motors, Noida with Honda, and Bengaluru with Toyota are other automotive manufacturing regions around the country. Andhra Pradesh Isuzu Motors India at Tri-City, Andhra Pradesh. Gujarat Passenger Vehicles General Motors India Private Limited, Chevrolet Sales India Private Limited, Hilol. Tata Motors, Sanand. Commercial Vehicles Asia Motor Works AMW, BHUJ. Haryana Two-Wheelers Harley Davidson India, Balal. Hero Motorcorp, Daruhera, Gurgaon. Honda Motorcycle and Amp, Scooter India, Manesar. India Yamaha Motor, Faridabad, Manesar. Suzuki, Gurgaon. Passenger Vehicles Maruti Suzuki, Gurgaon, Manesar. Himachal Pradesh Two-Wheelers TVS Motors, Nalagarh. Passenger Vehicles ICML Motors AMB. Commercial Vehicles TAFE Tractors, Pawanu. Jharkhand Commercial Vehicles Tata Motors, Jamshedpur. Karnataka Two-Wheelers TVS Motor, Mysuru. Honda Motorcycle and Amp, Scooter India Private Limited Narsapura. Passenger Vehicles Mahindra Raver Electric Vehicles Bengaluru. Toyota Kirloskar Motor Private Limited Bidadi. Commercial Vehicles Bharat Earth Movers Bengaluru. Scania Commercial Vehicles India Private Limited Bengaluru. TAFE Tractors, Dodda Bellapur. Tata Motors, Dharwad. Bharat Earth Movers, Mysuru. Volvo India, Volvo Buses India, Hosakot, Volvo Trucks India, Hosakot, Volvo Construction Equipment India, Hosakot, Kerala Commercial Vehicles, Bharat Earth Movers Defence Products, produces Tatri trucks 12x12, 10x10, 8x8, 6x6, 4x4 and AMP variants. Kerala Automobiles Limited, Madhya Pradesh Two-Wheelers Mahindra and AMP Mahindra, Pithampur. Commercial Vehicles Ashik Motors, Pithampur. Hindustan Motors, Pithampur. Force Motors Private Limited, Pithampur. TAVE Tractors, Mandidip. John Deere Tractors, Duas. Case Construction Equipment, Pithampur. Maharashtra Two-Wheelers Bajaj Auto, Chakan, Waluj, Aurangabad. KTM Sport Motorcycles, Chakan. Vespa Scooters Baramati. Kinetic Engineering, Pune, Ahmednagar. Passenger Vehicles Mahindra and AMP Mahindra Automotive Division, Nashik, Chakan. Sangyong Motor Company, Chakan. Tata Motors Limited, Tata Motors, Pimpri Chinchwad Jaguar Cars and Land Rover, Pune. Mercedes-Benz Passenger Cars, Chakan. Fiat Automobiles, Ranjagaon. General Motors India, Chakan. Volkswagen Group Sales India Private Limited, Volkswagen, Chakan. Audi AG, Aurangabad. Skoda Auto, Aurangabad. Chinkara Motors, Karlhind Alibag. Premier Automobiles Limited, Pimpri Chinchwad. Commercial Vehicles Ashik Leyland, Bandara. Bajaj Auto, Waluj, Aurangabad. Force Motors, Pune. Mahindra Navistar, Chakan. MAN Trucks India, Akurdi. Piaggio Vehicles, Baramati. Premier Automobiles Limited, Pimpri Chinchwad. Punjab Commercial Vehicles SM Isuzu Limited, Nuanchahar. Rajasthan Two-Wheelers Honda Motorcycle and AMP Scooter India. Tapukara Passenger Vehicles Honda Cars India Limited. Tapukara. Commercial Vehicles Ashik Leyland, Alva. TAVE Tractors, Alva. Tamil Nadu Two-Wheelers TVS Motor, Hirsa. Royal Enfield, Chennai, India. Yamaha Motor, Oragadam. Passenger Vehicles BMW India, Chengalpattu. Ford India Private Limited, Marimalai Nagar. Hyundai Motor India Limited, Sriperumbudur. Mitsubishi, Tiruvallur. Renault Nissan Automotive India Private Limited, Nissan Motor India Private Limited, Oragadam. Renault India Private Limited, Oragadam. Commercial Vehicles Ashik Leyland, Ennore, Hirsa. Bharat-Benz, Oragadam. Kamaz Vectra Motors, Hirsa. Same Deutz-Fahr Tractors, Ranapet Vellore. TAVE Tractors, Chennai. TVS Motors, Hirsa. Uttar Pradesh Two-Wheelers India Yamaha Motor, Greater Noida. LML, Kanpur. Passenger Vehicles Honda Cars India Limited. Greater Noida. JS Auto Limited Kanpur. Commercial Vehicles Tata Motors, Lucknow. Uttarakhand Commercial Vehicles Ashik Leyland, Pantnagar. Tata Motors, Pantnagar. Mahindra and AMP Mahindra, Haridwar. Hero Motorcorp, Haridwar. Bajaj Auto, Pantnagar. West Bengal Passenger Vehicles Hindustan Motors Limited, Kolkata. Exports. India's automobile exports have grown consistently and reached $4.5 billion in 2009, with the United Kingdom being India's largest export market, followed by Italy, Germany, Netherlands, and South Africa. According to the New York Times, India's strong engineering base and expertise in the manufacturing of low-cost, fuel-efficient cars has resulted in the expansion of manufacturing facilities of several automobile companies like Hyundai, Nissan, Toyota, Volkswagen, and Maruti Suzuki. In 2008, South Korean multinational Hyundai Motors alone exported 240,000 cars made in India. Nissan Motors plans to export 250,000 vehicles manufactured in its India plant by 2011. Similarly, U.S. automobile company General Motors announced its plans to export about 50,000 cars manufactured in India by 2011. In September 2009, Ford Motors announced its plans to set up a plant in India with an annual capacity of 250,000 cars for $500 million. The cars will be manufactured both for the Indian market and for export. The company said that the plant was a part of its plan to make India the hub for its global production business. Fiat Motors announced that it would source more than $1 billion worth auto components from India. In 2009, India surpassed China as Asia's fourth largest exporter of cars after Japan, Korea and Thailand by allowing foreign carmakers 100% ownership of factories in India, which China does not allow. In July 2010, The Economic Times reported that PSA Peugeot Citroën was planning to re-enter the Indian market and open a production plant in Andhra Pradesh that would have an annual capacity of 100,000 vehicles. Investing €700 million in the operation, PSA's intention to utilize this production facility for export purposes, however, remains unclear as of December 2010. In recent years, India has emerged as a leading center for the manufacture of small cars. Hyundai, the biggest exporter from the country, now ships more than 250,000 cars annually from India. Apart from Maruti exports shipments to Suzuki's other markets, Maruti Suzuki also manufactures small cars for Nissan, which sells them in Europe. Nissan will also export small cars from its new Indian assembly line. Tata Motors exports its passenger vehicles to Asian and African markets, and is preparing to sell electric cars in Europe in 2010. The firm is planning to sell an electric version of its low-cost car, the Tata Nano, in Europe and in the US. Mahindra and Amp Mahindra is preparing to introduce its pickup trucks and small SUV models in the US market. Bajaj Auto is designing a low-cost car for Renault-Nissan Automotive India, which will market the product worldwide. Renault-Nissan may also join domestic commercial vehicle manufacturer Ashik Leyland in another small car project. While the possibilities for the Indian automobile industry are impressive, there are challenges that could thwart future growth. Since the demand for automobiles in recent years is directly linked to overall economic expansion and rising personal incomes, industry growth will slow if the economy weakens. Top 10 export destinations. India exported $14.5 billion worth of automobiles in 2014. The 10 countries below imported 47.8% of that total.